out and collect everybody's phone. So now it's just your word against a billionaire. You're gonna lose. Read this right there from that young man.
Yeah, this is a real issue. And I think Diddy's lawyers are right when you're talking about somebody who's not, supposed to not be able to be accessed in this way.
And that's super scary. If he, in fact, woke up with a knife to his throat, I mean, that's freaking terrible.
There's a moment some nights when your eyes snap open and your body knows before your mind does, something's off. Your skin goes cold. The room feels too quiet, like the world paused mid-breath. Now stretch that feeling into a prison tier at 3 a.m., where the silence is broken by metal scraping concrete, slow and deliberate, coming closer. This isn't paranoia. It's pressure. The figure in the dark isn't just another inmate acting on impulse. He's carrying a warning. And the warning isn't spoken, it's remembered. Quad Studios. A lobby soaked in chaos. A young rapper collapsing after 5 shots tore through him. History bleeding onto marble floors. Then months later, another giant gone, slumped behind the wheel in Los Angeles. 6 bullets, no answers, just echoes. Those stories didn't fade. They fermented. The men locked behind those Brooklyn walls weren't alive when it happened, but they grew up on the legends, the documentaries. The whispers passed down like scripture. To them, this isn't nostalgia, it's unfinished business. So when cold steel presses too close in the dark,
interestingly, we haven't seen the indictments yet. There's been some time lag. I suppose it will take some time to go through all the forensic, evidence.
It isn't about a jailhouse beef. It feels like a receipt being slid across the table. Something long overdue. And here's the twist. Outside those walls, the public thinks the legal nightmare ends with trafficking charges in courtrooms. That's what headlines chew on. But inside, the fear isn't paperwork or sentencing. It's memory, because some debts don't get settled in court. And Brooklyn, Miss says, has a way of collecting what history never did. That clip 50 dropped? The one where Diddy looks like the past just stepped out of the shadows? That wasn't some throwaway prison moment caught on a shaky phone. That was a man clocking reality he already understands. Watch his body, not the headlines. The way his eyes keep scanning like he's tracking something only he can see. The way his shoulders fold inward, like he's waiting for the next impact. And that reported plea to be moved out of Brooklyn? That wasn't panic. That was awareness. This is someone who knows exactly why cold steel found his neck. Because this isn't a mogul who once owned New York nights, boarding private planes with his name stitched into the air itself. This is a man waking up on a metal bunk in a concrete box, 8 by 10, surrounded by people who didn't just hear the stories. They were raised on them. The East Coast, the West Coast.
That footage ended up going to 50 Cent and his production company, and it's kind of the centerpiece.
Sold to them.
Yes, was the centerpiece of the documentary. So watch this particular scene, because this is where a lot of people feel Diddy really screwed over someone that he should be very, very thankful.
Now. Quad Studios in '94. Names that never stopped echoing, just got quieter. And according to jailhouse whispers attributed to figures like Gene Deal, the message wasn't subtle. That was a warning. Not chaos, not randomness. A reminder. Next time, luck won't be part of the equation. If that sounds like bravado to you, you're missing the pattern. Because inside places like MDC Brooklyn, a facility with a reputation carved in lawsuits and lawsuits alone, violence isn't noise, it's language. This is the same environment that taught other powerful men that wealth evaporates at the cell door. Status doesn't translate. Influence doesn't shield. All that survives is memory. And here's where the narrative really shifts. The public keeps framing this chapter as a legal drama, charges, motions, headlines, cable news chatter. But the moment that Blade pressed close and that footage went viral, the story mutated. Inside those walls, it stopped being about cases and started being about endurance. On the streets, the talk isn't about courts. It's about judgment. Inmates aren't just inmates in that mythology. They're witnesses to history, self-appointed arbiters of unfinished business. Whether that belief is grounded in truth or legend.
Look at how many people he affected negatively. That was his trade-off to gain what he had. His former bodyguard, Gene Deal, said he seen him doing a ritual where they dove. What is that? And I feel like it's being overlooked because they see him doing the dance moves with the baggy clothes. You know, some of the ladies in his videos were trans ladies.
Almost doesn't matter anymore, because in places like that, perception is power. And if you believe the whispers, Brooklyn doesn't forget, it doesn't forgive, and it has its own way of delivering verdicts, long after courts have moved on. If you want to understand why everything suddenly feels different, you have to start with that clip 50 put out, because what you're seeing there isn't shock, it's realization. That look isn't a man surprised by danger. It's someone recognizing a threat he's known was circling for years, finally stepping into view. The timing couldn't be more surgical. While the public was distracted, locked in on court filings, testimony from Cassie Ventura, rumors of excess, whispers about jets quietly changing ownership through offshore paper trails. Something else was resurfacing. Something older. Something uglier. Gene Deal, someone who's been adjacent to Diddy's orbit for decades, reignited a claim that never really went away, just stayed buried under time and money. According to him, Diddy wasn't merely nearby the night Tupac Shakur was shot at Quad Studios. He says Diddy was present with intent, not recording, not socializing, waiting. November 30th, 1994. Tupac arrived.
And Freed were in the unit that was one floor above mine. You know, so in terms of like the setting, it's a fairly decent chance that the room I'm describing is similar to where Diddy is. Yeah.
Arrives at Quad to record a verse for Lil Sean. Instead, he's ambushed, robbed, shot 5 times, and left bleeding in the lobby. That part is history. What remains disputed and explosive are the roles people allegedly played behind closed doors. Gene's claim is that Diddy was inside the building in Jimmy Henchman's office while the setup unfolded. Tupac allegedly owed money. And Henchman, by reputation, wasn't someone you stalled or brushed off lightly. According to the story, Diddy didn't leave. He didn't head to another session. He stayed put, fully aware of what was about to happen. Then the moment that changed everything, the elevator doors open. Tupac stumbles out, shot, bleeding, barely upright. And according to this version of events, people connected to Diddy were there, looking down at him, watching, not intervening, just witnessing the aftermath. And Tupac looked back. Whether that moment unfolded exactly that way is still debated, but what isn't debated is what came after. Tupac believed he'd been set up. He believed the betrayal came from inside the industry, from New York, from the East Coast. That belief hardened into fury, and that fury became fuel. That was a spark. From that night forward, lines were drawn, allegiances shifted, lyrics turned into weapons, and a cultural civil war ignited, one that would eventually leave 2 of hip-hop's greatest voices dead, with no convictions and endless questions. So when people talk about fate now, about karma, about consequences finally closing in, they're really talking about that night. Because if you believe Gene Deal's account, that was the moment everything locked into place. Not just Tupac's rage, but Diddy's trajectory too. Not proven, not settled in court, but in the mythology of hip-hop, that's where the countdown allegedly began. Jump ahead to Las Vegas, 1996. Tupac is riding to the Strip in a white Cadillac after the Mike Tyson fight at the MGM. Traffic, neon, then gunfire. 6 days later, one of hip-hop's loudest voices is gone. For nearly 30 years, the case sits in a freezer. Speculation stacked on top of speculation. No arrest